Hi, and welcome back to our ProWize video series. My name is Caitlin, and I'm the marketing coordinator at ProVault Tech. This week, we have our former DevOps engineer and now our interim operations manager here at ProVault, Dan, with us to go over this month's topic, which is automation. A little introduction of Dan is like noted before, he is our interim operations manager with a diverse background in the industry. He has over 10 years of technical support experience, 5 years of experience as an MSP technician, and previously owned a PC repair business. Dan, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
So I know automation is something that everyone wants to get their hands on to make their lives a tad bit easier. Could you explain to us what the benefit and importance of automation is?
Sure. So, automation enables a service provider like an MSP to offload all of the menial day to day technical tasks in favor of client interaction, business management, some of the things that a lot of MSPs don't get a lot of time to address today.
So, with you giving a little insight on the importance there, why is automation, would you say, is it crucial for an MSP business?
So, for several reasons, MSPs are busy. Every MSP that I've had exposure to, every one of my MSP clients here at Profile, they're just busy all of the time. It's constantly putting out fires. Automation helps us put out those fires without having to put human hands on them. It shows us like we can prioritize time with automation and really just put all of that time in at once at the beginning and then free up so much more of your client facing time moving forward.
Which is important, especially to gain more clients there.
hmm
I know automation isn't new. It's been around for a long time, but it is becoming a lot more popular, especially in the MSP space. Um, in fact, people and companies are trying to find new ways to automate things all of the time. How would you say automation has evolved for MSPs?
The automation tools themselves are evolving quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of automation integration happen with new and updated RMM tools, integrating PowerShell, integrating Bash, integrating VB script in some cases. And then there's also in another space, there's been the advent of professional service providers like us who have automation experts on hand that can offload some of that work from you and that's really evolving in this space as well.
To add on to that, Dan, I know when you were a part of the development team here at Provol, you created a lot of automation. What would you say is the process in deciding which pieces of content to create?
Sure. We first of all, we make any content that a client requests first and foremost. So if a client requests a piece of content that we consider generally against best practice, we're going to provide our insight. We have hundreds of years collectively in this space, and our team is very dialed into what is and isn't best practice right now. But if a client says no, I really want that, we make it for them. Another thing that determines what we make is what we see across all of our hundreds of clients. And we see the same trends and the same pain points, and we make automation to address that and release it to everyone. So, yeah, that's how we decide what to make.
What considerations should individuals in the MSP industry be thinking about when they're using automation?
So, automation is fantastic, but it's really only at its best when it's developed with best practices in mind. So these best practices change all the time. We always ensure we're up to date with all of the latest developments from RMM changes to security flaws to CVEs, etc. So just make sure that your automation is following your practices policies and best practices within the community.
Awesome. I'm sure that will help people who are listening. So after you have decided to create these scripts, what is Provol's best practices to knowing that a piece of content is ready to be exported to the MSP? For
So
example, are these scripts being tested?
Yes, they absolutely are. We have a very stringent quality assurance policy in place. The content gets developed by one of our DevOps engineers or one of our RMM administrators. They submit it to an expert that reviews that content, tests that content in a live development environment under several circumstances, approves it for release to our consultants to provide to our clients. Our consultants then look over that content again, make sure it meets the client's need, and only at that point will it be released to a client.
Sounds very extensive.
Yes.
Through your journey here with Proval and being, a part of the MSP community for over a decade, where do you see individuals needing automation the most for their MSP?
So there's still a lot of on-premise domains out there, and everybody's really moving into the Azure space and the cloud provided domains. There's a lot of automation that we can do there, both for those migrations as well as managing on-prem, managing hybrid. But we also see things for RMM agent deployment. One of the biggest pain points at MSPs are getting that agent on an endpoint, and we have ways to automate that. So user management, both in the RMM, in your domains, who has access to your dashboards, all of that can be automated to a certain extent. Uh, Applications and patching, monitoring and alerts, of course, these are all um, very common needs. Patching, we provide a policy. We work with the client to say, hey, this is the patching policy we recommend. How would you like to do it? Monitoring and alerts, we really focus on the noise that monitoring and alerts generate because a lot of MSPs get a lot of noise over things that don't really need to be touched. So those are the big points where automation is needed.
From your expertise and experience, when should MSP be automating these things that you noted above?
Oh, 100% of the time. Again, as long as it meets best practice, and what you can automate should be automated. And that's a big workload, right? So that's why you might consider bringing on some experts to make your automation for you. But it's not, it's 100% not possible to scale an MSP without automation.
And I think you pretty much just answered this, but I think we should, kind of note this one more time because I do feel it may be important to touch on again. Um, can MSPs leverage to their fullest potential or continue to scale without using automation?
No, like I said, and you're right, this does need to be touched on very thoroughly. No, there is no way. You can't hire enough people to do everything manually and still maintain a profit, still make a per seat price that makes sense for your clients. You need automation to really scale.
Since we're noting about and touching on, scaling with automation for an MSP, why is it important that an MSP pay for this experience to have developers or automation that has been, around or has is just very knowledgeable on creating these things so that they are able to scale?
Right. So you definitely need experienced team members in the automation and the development space, whether you hire those in house or bring them out from a professional service provider. You you have to have someone who is constantly up to date on the latest security concerns, RMM and automation changes. Uh, just have somebody with that wealth of combined knowledge, like Proval has, where, like I said earlier, we have a consecutive like hundreds of years between all of us in automation experience. Some of us has been around, some of us are as old as dirt, and we know just about everything that has happened in this space. So that expertise is going to help you really make the most efficient progress with your automation.
So I know that automation, and I think we note this earlier, can save a lot of time to be able to get more clients or to be able to expand maybe to do other things. Other than time, how can problems be prevented through the use of automation?
So, aside from freeing up time to spend with clients in more meaningful ways, like I mentioned earlier, it allows you to create reliable, persistent, standard policies that aren't going to get really interfered with by human hands, right? So, like if you have a human do something 100 times, 3 of those times it will be different. It will be non-standard. Automation is the same thing every time.
That is a really great point to note there. Now, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I have one more question for you, Dan. Can you give us a little insight on where you think the future of automation is going to look like and where you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of changes in the space as far as especially the tools that we can use to automate things. It's Automation tools are trending towards a merger of a bunch of separate solutions, like complete software stacks in a single solution. I think that very soon we're going to see just complete holistic software stacks, like VSAX is coming out, CWRMM. They're already trying to implement. Pretty much the entire stack within a single dashboard. I think that is the direction in which we are going as a whole. Of course, there's AI that's assisting us now. ChatGPT is assisting us now with automation. And then, yeah, then like I said, you've got these professional service providers. Like we just did a webinar recently on profitability and how to maintain profitability as an MSP. So you also have these people who are gaining a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience who can refine these tools.
Awesome. Well, that is all very interesting, Dan, and thank you for sharing with me and those who, are viewing this. I am sure all of this valuable information on automation will most definitely help some of the questions MSPs may have. If you're watching this and there are any questions that we did not cover that you would like to know a little bit more about, please comment them down below and we will be sure to shoot you over an answer. Once again, Dan, thank you for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Happy to
And
be here.
awesome. Well, you'll definitely be, I'm sure, seeing more of Dan around here, you guys. And please be sure to subscribe and give this video a like, and we'll be back with another ProWise video.